Hobbies can have a huge impact on you personally and professionally. And today I want to talk about the 6 hobbies that I believe have the highest value for you and some of the science that supports this. So grab your cup of tea and let's dive into it. Hobbies is something that I feel does not get talked about enough when it comes to the impact that they can have on your life, in particular professionally. While we understand that it can add a lot of value to us personally, we often miss some of the benefits that it can actually have in our career as well. But this is something that Steve Jobs knew well. He said, "A lot of people in our industry haven't had very diverse experiences, so they don't have enough dots to connect. They end up with very linear solutions without a broad perspective on the problem. The broader one's understanding of the human experience, the better design we will have." So what Jobs is talking about is this idea of interdisciplinary thinking, that you can come up with non-linear solutions to problems that you might experience in your personal life or in your professional life or for the market or audience that you are trying to address. This is something that Michael Hyatt also alludes to in his book, Free to Focus, when he talks about the 3 stages that we all have. He says that we have a front stage, which is the work that we do that other people see. He says that we have a back stage, which is the work that goes into us being able to perform on that front stage. It's something that often people don't actually see as much of. But then we also have the off stage, and this is the stage that a lot of people may see as being completely irrelevant to their work, but it actually allows you to be able to turn up on those other 2 stages. Michael Hyatt summarizes it beautifully when he says that we talk a lot about the habits of highly successful people, but what about their hobbies? Another psychiatrist said that work doesn't work without play. When it comes to your personal brand and your professional brand, hobbies are that thing that adds a little bit more of a flavor to your personal brand. It makes it more exciting. It adds personality. It shows that you are a multi-dimensional person who is interested in different things outside of purely what you do for your work. But hobbies still add value back to your work as well. And this is something that Adam Grant highlights in his book Originals. He highlights research that shows that successful entrepreneurs and inventors are more likely to have hobbies. They're more likely to have interests in things like drawing, in painting, in literature, in architecture, for example. He says people who are open to new ways of looking at science and business also tend to be fascinated by the expression of ideas and emotions through images, sounds, and words. So if you are looking for ideas of hobbies that you might like to pick up, or maybe rekindle a love of a hobby that you had previously, then let's dive into some possible ideas that you might like to consider as your new hobby. Tip number 1 should come as no surprise to anyone who follows this channel, and that is reading. Reading, research shows, can have a huge impact on you both physically and mentally. For example, studies have shown that reading can reduce stress by 68%. It outperforms the highly effective cup of tea or going for a walk. And the best part is it takes only 6 minutes to be able to see the results. But the benefits of reading also extend further than that as well. Research has compared readers with TV watchers, and readers are said to have more knowledge, better judgment, better analytical skills, and better problem-solving skills. And it's also worth keeping in mind that because of the unique choices that appear when you are reading something like a book or an article or a blog, this is going to improve your vocabulary when compared to watching TV, which often uses more simplified language. And what might potentially seem counterintuitive when it comes to reading is that it could be something that actually improves your social skills. Research has shown that reading fiction in particular helps to build your empathy because it allows you to have to understand another world and other characters' experiences. And the effects of this last even after you have put the book down. If you want to improve your social skills, your emotional intelligence, and your relationships, then consider adding reading as a regular part to your routine. My recommended hobby number 2 is walking. I try and go on 2 walks a day, and it's not just because of the physical benefits. If anything, it is more for the mental benefits that I know that walking has. Research has shown that walking can improve your creativity and your problem-solving skills. It has shown that when compared to sitting, creativity can increase by 60%. Again, like reading, the results for walking can happen really quickly. It takes just up to 5 to 6 minutes to be able to reap the benefits of walking on your creativity. And another exciting part about this is that it can apply whether you are walking indoors or whether you are walking outdoors. So no matter what your work setting is, if you can find an opportunity to be able to go on a walk, it is really going to be able to boost your problem solving and boost your creativity. It's a tiny bit of time that might actually give you a creative edge in the long run when it comes to your career. And like reading, walking can also help to reduce stress. Research has shown that walking can help to reduce stress by 42%. And this is because when we walk, our brain goes into the same frequency that we experience when we are meditating. My tip number 3 for a high value hobby to add to your routine is to play an instrument. I started to play the piano when I was 4 years old, and I took a little bit of a hiatus when I was in my early 20s. But if I had known more of the science behind the value of playing an instrument, I would have definitely tried to have stayed more consistent with this high value hobby. The research shows that playing an instrument can actually alter the structure of your brain. It can increase the grey matter in various regions of your brain, and it can also improve the connection between the left and right side of your brain. And music also engages your multiple senses, and this can have a lasting impact. My tip number 4 for a high value hobby to add to your routine or to keep doing is to learn a second language or a third language or a fourth language or whatever it is that you choose to learn. And this is because learning a language can have a benefit on your brain as well. Research has shown those that learn a second language are said to have improved attention control and working memory, amongst other mental benefits as well. I'm currently trying to learn a second language, which is actually my husband's first language, and that is Serbian. And I do this in a really simple way. I just spend 20 minutes or so every day trying to learn either a new word or a new phrase, and I do this as a part of my morning routine in my very sophisticated method of just using Google Translate to make this super easy. Tip number 5 for a high value hobby to add to your routine or to keep doing is yoga. Yoga has not just physical benefits but mental benefits as well. Research has compared the brains of those that practice yoga with those that don't practice yoga. And those that practice yoga have been shown to have thicker areas of their brain relating to areas like information processing and learning and memory. And yoga is said to also be able to improve your mood. And this is something that I have actually experienced in my own life. I did notice the difference when I started to try to practice yoga as a part of my regular routine. And I wasn't the only one who maybe noticed this impact on yoga in my life. I once had a colleague tell me that I was being talked about amongst my fellow colleagues, and they were talking about what they perceived as my ability to stay calm in stressful or crisis situations, and they attributed that amongst themselves as being likely to be related to the fact that they knew that I did yoga every morning before work. So I do believe that yoga can have a really positive impact on the person that you show up as in your personal life and your professional life. And I've also had other friends say to me that they have noticed the difference in the way that they behave at work during the periods of their life when they are practicing yoga versus when they are not practicing yoga. And my tip number 6 for a high value hobby to add to your life or to keep doing is to have a craft. Now, this one is a bit more of an all-encompassing one because I know that this might mean different things to different people. I know in the more traditional sense, a craft might be something like drawing, painting, maybe it's sewing or knitting or woodwork or leatherwork or anything sort of along those lines. But I think having a craft is something that you can also think outside of the box for as well. For example, it might be that you love to cook and you put in a lot of effort into the way that you cook and maybe the way that you present your food, or even if it's not related to your presentation, it's just the mindset that you have going into cooking being not a chore but being a craft that you are practicing and continuing to develop and hone. This might apply to other things as well. Maybe you like to sew or to garden or to write or just to create things in some way that is outside of the box of what you might think a craft traditionally means to you. This could also be when you are thinking about potentially having a high value hobby related to a craft, something that allows you to develop your technological skills in a particular area. For example, there might be a certain technology that you've just always assumed is completely beyond your grasp, or that you have found that other people seem to be mastering and you just thought that maybe it was a bit too late for you to master that particular technology. Maybe it is something that just gives you a chance to purely have some fun. Maybe you are someone who can spend your time creating videos just on things that you are interested in, completely outside of your professional life. And that can not only develop your skills in technology, but could also be something that allows you to provide value to people and to connect with people. I really started thinking about this concept of having high value hobbies in your downtime more when I read Cal Newport's book, Digital Minimalism, where he talks a lot about low value downtime versus high value downtime. So low value downtime, just generally speaking, might be something like watching TV or scrolling social media and not actually getting a lot out of that process. But high value downtime, for example, could actually be you engaging in these hobbies. So you're still taking time out of work to do things that allow you to switch off from your career or your job, but are still things that are high value. They are your high value hobbies in your downtime. And when you think about downtime in general, this has evolved pretty rapidly over the last couple of generations. When you think about the generations that went before you or that you might still have a relationship with, consider some of the ways that they predominantly spent their downtime. And it perhaps looks quite different to some of the most common ways that people spend their downtime now, like watching TV and being consumed by social media. It was likely things that were more like a craft that people practiced. Maybe they would sit and sew, maybe they would create a piece of furniture, maybe they baked something. But our downtime is really a chance to think about all of the possibilities that exist for our potential outside of our profession. I love to talk about the value that hobbies can have for your personal life and professional life. So if you want to learn more about why I believe that hobbies are the secret to your professional and your personal brand, then check out my previous episode on this topic.